We play and call it work.
Hey everybody, Matthew and Steve here from MiniWarGaming.com, and welcome to day 2 of our Age of Sigmar 2nd edition coverage. I know it feels to us like day 15, because we've been working at this for so long, but we're still very excited. Today we're going to be talking about Malign Sorceries, or Sorcery.
Oh, this is the thing I've been most excited for.
Yeah, I know, you're right. This is the thing that you kept saying that's going to change.
It's going to change
Age of Sigmar the most, and so we're going to talk about whether you still believe that. So today is all about Malign Sorcery, which means we have 4 videos for you. 4, count them. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Oh, you lost me.
I know, right? Sorry. 2 of them are going to be review/showcase videos. Basically, this very first one that you're watching right now, we are going to talk about what is in the book, and we're going to talk about our first impressions of it. Both Steve and I played a game. We played a game against each other, which is also going out today in the vault. And Quirk and Luca played each other as well. And we just brought tons of endless spells. And we used the realm rules. I think they did as well. So we have 2 battle reports as well, Luca and Quirk for free, and then Steve and I, you gotta be a vault member to watch us play. But I have to tell you, it was awesome.
It's worth it.
Our motto for the game was who could out goof the goof. Yeah, Steve really likes that.
It was very, very much nonsense.
Yeah,
it was very much nonsense.
It was nonsense, and yet it was a legit good battle report.
Yeah.
It's Moonclan Grots that I brought. I had 120 Grots on the table and lots of squigs against a general order list.
The last alliance of elves and lizards.
Yeah, the last alliance of elves and wizards.
Men.
We both brought a ton of wizards. That's why the order was more general, just so he could bring all sorts of different wizards.
Yeah.
We both brought a ton of endless spells, and there were lots of endless spells flying around the table.
Yeah,
and we played a scenario from the Malign Sorcery. So those are available, all in the links in the description below. If you're not a Vault member yet, now's the time to become one, because first off, the second video in this one, we're going to do the review here, the second video for this, I'm going to walk you through all 13 endless spells and how they work. So we get to see exactly how they work, how they are in action. So the battle reports will show it somewhat, but they don't show all of them.
Right.
And so this next video we'll walk through them really quickly and be like, this one does this one does this, and you'll be able to see which ones you'll want. So yeah.
The answer is most of them.
Yes, there's most of them. And spoiler alert, there's more coming.
Yeah.
And the reason I know this is because in General's Handbook, they give points costs for 3 endless spells for Stormcast Eternals and 3 endless spells for Night Haunt. And that tells me, that's all I know, honestly. Nothing else has been revealed. And that tells us that they're going to start coming out with endless spells for different armies.
That's exciting.
I can't say how many armies are going to get them. Like, will the older ones, like Wanderers, get them? Probably not. But any money says any new battle tome they come out with, they are going to include new endless spells.
Yeah, that's a fair assumption. I think.
Yeah. But even if you don't have access to your own battle tome endless spells, there are 13 here, and there's a lot of good choices. So, what is Malign Sorcery? Malign Sorcery is the result of Nagash being Nagash,
right,
and reversing the Nadir and the Realm of Death. They taking all the magics. Typically, the realms are more stable at the center because the magic kind of flows outwards. Kind of picture it like that. Magic flows outwards to the more unstable parts of the outsides of the realm. And Realm Stone is concentrated magic in physical form. Every realm has their kind of version of Realm Stone. And the Realm Stone in the Realm of Death is grave sand. And Nagash, for hundreds, if not thousands of years, had his skeletal minions going to the outside of the realm, bringing grave sand to the middle.
It doesn't make sense. How much grave sand are they carrying in their skeletal fingers?
Literally one.
One sand.
They actually say that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because that's too powerful. If they carry more than that, it just disintegrates them. That's why it's taken hundreds of years. Like, think about it.
It all makes sense.
If you had access to millions, tens, maybe hundreds of millions, potentially billions of skeletons, and they were each bringing back 1 grave sand per year, that's still a lot of grave sand. And then you multiply that by 1,000 years, that's a lot of grave sand.
One little gust of wind, though.
You know what? They probably lost a lot of them along the way, but at least if they get them part of the way up, then they can send one up to get that one.
Yeah, it's true.
And it's not as far as to go. So, but Nagash is very patient. He's known as
clearly.
He's one of the most patient gods because he knows in the end everybody succumbs to death, and so in the end he gets his due. And so he brought all that in. He built his fancy upside down pyramids. The Skavens screwed it up. and it's that fancy upside down pyramid in the middle started spinning, and then it went so fast that it turned into a whirlpool that sucks all the magic now inwards. And so the realm of death is the only realm where it's the opposite. The center is ridiculously unstable, and the outside is where it's stable. And this sent out a huge shockwave of magic into the etheric void. It saturated the other realms and did two things. One, it saturated the realms with death magic, so a lot of dead rose up and started attacking everywhere. But it also just increased the level of magic overall in all the realms. And there's a couple things that happened because of that. One, and this is all explained in Malign Sorcery, by the way. The Nagash stuff is in the core book, but what I'm about to tell you right here is in this book, which is cool that it has a lot of cool lore, is that it imbued a lot of mundane items with magical powers. So new artifacts were created, new magic weapons and all that. So that explains why all of a sudden we have access to new artifacts.
That makes sense.
And they'd usually imbue stuff that mattered, like if there was some great hero and he had a sword and he was known as a great hero, then likely the magic would coalesce into his sword and give it new magical abilities. So it created all these new magical artifacts, but it also raised the levels of magic so high that some spells gained a form of sentience, a form of life. Now, we're not quite sure how sentient they are. All we know is that some spells are so powerful, and wizards keep discovering new ones, that when they cast them, normally the outside of the realm yanks on all magic that's kind of in the air, and so you cast your spell, and then it kind of quickly gets pulled apart because then it gets yanked towards the outside of the realms. But so now that there's so much magic in the air, these actually stay together, and they continue performing their function afterwards. Minor spells won't ever do this. There's not enough magic. It's bigger spells that do that. And that gave rise to what are called endless spells, which is all these models that you see. So literally, in the game, the represented that a wizard will cast a spell, these spells in particular. All the other spells are unaffected. And that spell is a model that you place on the table that then has an effect. Some of them move, some of them don't. They all have different special rules. Some of them do damage, some of them are more utility. But they all share a general common trait. Once they are cast, they are no longer under control of either player. And so they could turn on you, they could work against you as well as they can work against the opponent. The only advantage that you have by casting them is that you get to control where they're placed at first, and if they're one of the kind of spells that moves, that you're the one that gets to choose the very first move. After that, it's anybody's game for that. And as we can see in our battle reports, you can see I cast spells that come back at me, and so on and so forth. So we're not going to get any spoilers to the battle reports. It was a great game, lots of carnage because of the spells.
Yup.
Yeah, yeah,
Yup.
yeah, lots. And so that's the lore behind it. Now these spells, they're more than just a spell that's been given life. And I'm sorry if I'm doing most of the talking right now. It's because it's the lore part.
He's the lore guy.
This is the lore part. This is my part. They're more than just like, hey, I cast a spell and now it has life. They actually draw on some ancient powers. For example, this is called Ravenek's Gnashing Maw. Now, if you're a fan of Warhammer Fantasy, you'll recognize a lot of these spells. For example, the Purple Son of Shaiish used to be the Purple Son of Zeus, or however you called it.
Xerxes.
It wasn't Xerxes.
Yeah.
No, it was Zeus.
Are you sure?
I don't know. I keep saying Xerxes, but now they mention a Zeus with this one, so I'm wondering if it was actually called
They
that.
probably renamed it.
Maybe.
Yeah.
They could have. But Ravenek, this Gnashing Maw, Ravenek is...
Jaws.
Sorry, Jaws.
Ravenek's Gnashing Jaws.
Ravenek's Gnashing Jaws. Ravenek is actually a god beast that was, I can't remember who did it, but was defeated and chained underneath a mountain. And this god beast loved just to eat everything. It just went around just consuming everything. And this was a problem, obviously, in the realm of beasts. And so I can't remember who. I'd have to look it up right now. It doesn't matter. Read the book. You'll find out. And he was trapped, but he wasn't killed. And so he's just like, he's trapped underground. And he's just like, he's been gnashing even at the walls of his prison. So if you actually look at his prison, it's just like he's been eating the rock. But he just can't get out. And it's really frustrating him. And all this pent up frustration in the realm of beasts actually has led, with the increased magic, to this is kind of his avatar. So when you cast one of these, you're actually casting an avatar of Ravenek, and when it causes mortal wounds and kills guys, well, it doesn't poop out the back. So where is everybody going? They actually get teleported into Ravenek's stomach.
Oh.
So as this is going around eating guys, you're literally getting cast into the stomach of a god beast. So now it's even more terrifying. Right?
That's just horrible.
Or the Purple Son of Zeus, or the Purple Son of Shaiish. It references this ancient being, Zeus, who is actually the legends are that's actually the face of this purple sun. So it's once again an avatar of him, and so on and so forth. Each of them have their stories that are really, really interesting. That some of them are manifestations of something else. So they're more than just a spell made manifest that's still alive. They actually can represent something else going on. They each have their lore. They each have, in this book, they each have a full page of lore for each spell. And it's really, really fascinating to talk about how they work and how, and this is where I have the question, I don't know how sentient they are. It's just like how sentient is your mouth compared to the rest of your body, right? Like while it's attached to your body, it acts as part of you, but whatever it is. This also has given rise to some really cool things, such as spell hunters.
Yeah. Ooh.
Yeah. Ooh. And we have an idea for a narrative campaign that's based around that, but we're not going to go over that right now. The spell hunter is basically wizards who would go out and once these are out in the wild, these things can become just like a dragon terrorizes a city. There can be a ravenous gnashing jaw that's terrorizing a city. And comes out of the woods every once in a while, goes in, nom, 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 waka, 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 and then goes back out to the woods.
Full on Pac-Man.
Yeah. and so these wizards will go out and they'll hunt to dispel these. There's sometimes there's ulterior motives. For example, when you dispel them, they can leave concentrated magic, which can coalesce into realm stones. The Skaven love to dispel them for that reason. The other wizards will actually consume the magical energy from them and become more powerful. Others do it for money.
Right.
Some of them have even been
industrious
in such a way that they were the ones that cast them to begin with, and then they charged the city to go out and dispel it. There's been some rumors. We don't know if they're true.
They're sure.
We don't know. It's alluded to it, but we don't. There's until they've been proven guilty. There's been certain wizards who are like, oh, I'll go fix that for you, but it turns out he's the one that cast it to begin with. So yeah, it kind of gives rise to a lot of new lore, a lot of new cool things as well. So that is the lore portion of what I'm going to talk about here. So I'm going to pass the time over to Steve, and Steve is going to talk a bit about now mechanics of how this comes into your game, of how they're cast, how they're dispelled, all that kind of stuff.
So going by, first before we even go to this, going by what we just learned from Warhammer community as they've been slowly releasing the leaks, they showed a few of the rules. As Matt said, like I want to summon a pendulum, I'm going to cast it, I'm going to aim it, I'm going to send it off on its way, and then after that, nobody controls it. It's nobody's model. Until, is it the end of the battle round or start of the battle round? Is it start or end?
For what?
When
you control them?
Yeah.
Start of each battle round.
Start of each battle round. Okay, so we learned from community that at the start of a battle round, I guess it's after the roll to see who goes first. I'll play with that.
Keep going.
I lost my train of thought.
After you roll to see who goes
after
first.
you goes first. Before you decide, you have to think about the fact that with this book, whoever is going second that battle round gets to move a predatory spell. Now, my initial thought was they move all the predatory spells, which I thought was going to be a big game change up. It's going to make you maybe not want to go first every time, maybe not want that double turn as often. And I'd try to use more of these to try to prevent that kind of stuff. But as it's in here, is whoever's going second that battle round moves the first predatory spell, and then the other guy will move the next one back and forth, which in hindsight kind of makes more sense, kind of more fair.
Well, and we played our game, and without any spoilers.
Yes, it does matter.
Because you were thinking at first that if it is that the person who goes second gets to move all the predatory spells, all of a sudden it's a really hard choice whether you want to go first or second.
Because that's potentially really powerful.
Yeah, and then when you found out it was alternating, you're like, oh, it's not a big deal anymore. But now you've played a game with a lot of predatory spells on the table. What do you think?
Okay, so I think in every turn, and correct me if I'm wrong, every turn that we had to roll off, we had to think about, well, I want to go, but then you're going to move this first, obviously.
Yes, this spell right here is going to be devastating, so I'd like to get it out of there.
So, but then I get to move this one, but then instead maybe I'll just go second, and I'll move this first, but then you're going to move that one. So it is extra decisions, and that's always a good thing for a game. So I love it. It's really cool. If we got to move, if second player got to move them all, potentially too powerful.
Well, I have a funny feeling in most games you're only going to be seeing players bring one endless spell in their army.
I think it's
because it's probably like, hey, I've got 40 points left over. Oh yeah, endless spells.
We just haven't seen a whole lot of, you don't always bring a mage or sorcerer. You don't always do that. No. This will make me bring more of them, but am I gonna buy 3 or 4? Probably not.
Yeah. So
Maybe.
just to be clear, the endless spells cost points.
Yes, we can explain that.
And so if you want to be able to cast one of these endless spells, you've got to pay the points cost for it. And as soon as you pay the points cost, all your wizards know the spell.
Yeah, the points aren't that high. They're as little as, there's like, what, 14
20.
here?
20
as
is the
little as
lowest.
20 points to 100 points.
Yeah.
For
Only
these
one is
starting
100.
ones.
This one is 100.
Even this guy's not that expensive, right?
They're like, most of them are 40 or 60.
Yeah, so they're not that expensive. And often, if you're 20 points under in your list, you're 40 points under your list, I'm going to buy a spell.
Right.
Even if when I'm making my list, I want to buy, let's say, the Burning Skull, and then I'm done my list, and I'm still 40 points under. I'm going to spend those 40 points on more spells instead of trying to get a triumph. So I'm going to use these spells to cap off my list. Often, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So so you talked about and how in the second, whoever has a second turn gets to choose which one goes first.
Yep.
So I'll keep giving you the floor for talking about how they're cast, how they're unbound.
Oh yeah, I'm just assuming everybody knows.
And how they're dispelled.
Yeah. Okay, so
that's the whole point of this. Is
yeah.
for us
What am I thinking? So let's say I want to cast myself a Burning Skull. So to cast I'll give me a top one. I can cast an Emerald. I want to cast an Emerald Life Swarm. So it'll cost one of my spell allowance. All my mages know it because I paid. I think this one's like 20.
Yeah, that one's pretty cheap.
It's
also
cheap.
the least powerful one.
So it has a casting value of 6 for that one. We don't want to cast on 6. That's pretty basic. 2d6, and you just place the model anywhere within that one is within 15.
Wholly with it.
Yes.
They're all wholly with it.
Yes, they actually, yeah.
Which makes a big difference because sometimes you got to make sure you have space for them.
And then you, after you cast it, your opponent can attempt to unbind it like a regular spell. From there, yeah, you place it. If it moves, most of them do. You immediately move it. You pick the direction or whatever. You resolve its effects. You move on to your next spell. If you have any more. Your opponent's next magic phase, if he chooses, can dispel an existing endless spell. So instead of casting a spell, you like things in my hands, eh?
You can talk with your hands.
I just not very Italian. I lost my train of thought again. So yeah, so instead of casting a spell, a wizard can use one of his casting attempts to dispel a endless spell on the table, 30-inch range. You have to roll higher than its casting value. So for example, the Life Swarm, you'd have to roll a 7 or higher, and you just remove it. Now, interestingly enough, I think Quirk and Luca found it in their first game. There are plenty of abilities in the game. Plenty of mages have plus to casting and unbinding, not dispelling.
I wonder if they'll FAQ that eventually.
For here and now.
For right now, there is a very important distinction between dispel and unbind, which is why I've been trying with my verbiage when I do the battle report to say you use the word unbind and not dispel because they are very different things. For example, in the game with Quirk and Luca, Quirk used the Changeling, and the Changeling can't be attacked until he's revealed. And one of the things that reveals him is casting. The one thing that reveals him is casting and unbinding, but it doesn't list dispelling.
Right.
And so it was hilarious the way Quirk described it. He has the Changeling sitting there, and Luca's like surrounded up with a bunch of enemies, just waiting for him to reveal him. And the Changeling's like, dispel. Don't worry about it, guys. Dispel. I've got this. So, dispel. And they're like, what are you dispelling all them for? He's like, I've got orders from on high. Dispel. He's like dispelling all the ones. They're like, why are you doing it? He's like, I don't know. It's okay, guys. Don't worry about it.
Without giving you any spoilers, what day is that game going up? Do you recall?
It's right now.
Okay,
it's right
so
now.
There'll be a point where you see a Changeling on the opposite side of the table because he does that.
Yep.
He deploys on the other side with your opponent's army. He's surrounded.
He's just waiting. The dogs are just
waiting. and Quirk's just setting spells across the field. And then his own Changeling is dispelling them, and he can do it again. It was ridiculous.
We should point out, like, if you in open and narrative play, you can buy multiples of the same spell as long as you have the model for it, and that's how many you can have. In match play, you can only own one of each spell, but the dispelling part, you can't cast another one until it's been dispelled. So dispelling is a big part of it. The other way that it can be dispelled is if it goes off the table.
Right.
And so when you move them, you can choose to move it off the table. It's automatically dispelled. And there's some of the spells have other factors that will dispel them as well. Like if there's actually a pair of things and they move and they have to stay within a certain range and they can't, then they're dispelled.
Now, quick question: I buy a Purple Sun. You buy a Purple Sun. We both have one on the table.
Definitely.
Okay. So yeah, we got a spell on table. You resolve its effects. You finish your turn. You go to your opponent's next turn.
And dispelling has to happen at the start of your hero phase.
Right.
We made that mistake in our battle report, so you can go ahead and put that in the comments in our battle report, saying, "Hey, you made that mistake."
I don't think it mattered in ours.
It didn't in this case because I won't say why. It just didn't. I had planned to dispel it from the beginning,
It's funny.
but I forgot to, and that could have made a difference, but it didn't. But yeah, dispelling should be the first thing you do, which is honestly, it's usually the first thing you'd want to do anyways. So that's kind of important. So it'll be interesting to see if they do include any erratas or FAQs that say anything that helps you with unbinding helps you with dispelling.
Would you want it to?
I'm indifferent.
I'd rather say
If I bring a wizard that gets +1 to unbinding, I'd love to have the additional help for dispelling.
I guess.
But if you have a wizard with +1 unbinding, I don't want you to get it. So it's the same thing, right? Like I want it, but I don't want my opponent to have it.
Right.
So it's a net neutral thing.
I love the idea of once I send down the Gnaw downfield, and I just want my opponent to think about, because I'm sending it towards him. I want him to think about wanting to go first next turn, or moving that Gnaw back towards me.
Right.
Gnaw.
But then he always has the option to dispel it as well. There's always that thing. It's like.
But I mean, honestly, these are. I think the average casting on these is 7.
Not some of them are 6.
Some of them are 6, and I think there's a couple of 8s. But I think for the most part, you're going to be spelling most of these on an 8.
Which is hard when you don't have any way to reroll.
So,
like I have all sorts of things that reroll casting, unbinding, getting pluses to casting, unbinding, but nothing for dispelling.
Your tree man's going to go down a bracket if it takes 1 more mortal wound. You want to rely on getting a dispel off before Ravenet gets him?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So it adds a really interesting dynamic to the game.
I love that part.
And I agree. I think I'm always going to want one. The way we played our game is we didn't pay the points. We both built a 2,000 point list, and then we did a draft, which was really fun. By the way,
awesome.
It was kind of awesome. And Steve complained that we only got 4 each.
I know. I was like, "What are we doing?"
And I'm like, "There's 13 of them." We played the scenario where you actually start with the Purple Sun on the table, so we didn't include that one. And we rolled off. Steve won the roll off. And then he got to choose an endless spell, then I chose one, then he chose one, then I chose one. So we ended up having 4 each that we didn't pay for because it basically balances out. And he wanted to keep going. But I'm like 4 is enough to learn, man.
I wasn't done choosing.
That's already 8 that we gotta remember all the rules for. And so we played, so it was spectacular. They really made a difference in the game.
100%. It's weird because it's still very, very new, but I'm just so excited for what could come out now.
Yeah, right? And they can be very thematic to the different lists that are available to us as well. Okay, so we talked about the endless spells themselves, how to unbind, dispel, how to cast them. The book, by the way, includes a bunch of new battle plans. For narrative play, it has like 5 or 6, and for pitched battles, it has 2 more, bringing our total number of pitched battle plans to, that would be 20 now, because there's 6 in the core book, 12 in the General's Handbook.
Pitch battle? What do you do with pitch battle?
Match play.
Okay.
But pitch battle.
Is that what it's called?
That's what they call it in here, yeah. That's what they call it in the books. There's match play, which you use pitch battle rules for.
Gotcha.
And so we have 20 match play battle plans, which is tremendous. There's so many, and I love that. Like the previous edition had 6. 40K has 12, but let's be fair, the 6 of them are just variations on themselves.
Right.
And Age of Sigmar includes all those tactical objectives now too. So there's just so many more ways to play the game.
I haven't had a chance to play with that yet.
No, I haven't even touched it yet. There's so much we haven't even touched yet.
For that.
So this book includes all those battle plans, which both of them were played. There's 2, the pitch battle, Magical Supremacy, Quirk and Luca played. We played Chain Colossus, which I would make a couple modifications to the scenario if I played it again. Just because the way that it works is you start with the Purple Sun in the middle. Each side has 2 objectives pretty much in their deployment, and only heroes can hold them. And at the beginning of the turn, in addition to moving regular endless spells, the Purple Sun can only be moved by whoever controls the most objectives. Right. But we found that, because 2 objectives are on your side and 2 on your opponent's side, you're camping those with a couple heroes.
Yeah.
And until the game was pretty much over.
Right. So
the Purple Sun never moved.
There's a bit of a flaw in that scenario.
Yeah. I think the objective should be center field, forcing you to go up and get them, and then whoever has the most gets to move the Purple Sun. That's the only thing I would change in that scenario.
We both had a lot of models and a lot of heroes.
Yeah, you brought 6 wizards, I brought 5.
We both brought armies with that scenario in mind.
Oh yeah,
in a roundabout way. So one more objective would be really nice in that scenario.
Yeah, even just like putting 1 more in the middle or 2 more in the middle, just so you could make it uneven a lot easier. because by the time we made it uneven, it didn't matter
Yeah,
anymore.
exactly. The game was already over.
The game was
Not that
over.
it was a bad game. But it was already over at that point.
No, it just didn't get to use that cool aspect
Yeah.
of it because it's like, oh yeah, who gets to move the purple sun? It's like, well, nobody. It's
I
just
think my brain broke that game.
that was pretty great. We got some good animated GIFs out of it that you'll get to see later on. So the other really cool thing, besides, and it adds more rules for skirmish.
Right.
It adds more rules for Path to Glory.
Yeah.
We're not even going to go over those. But and it either has a skirmish battle plan called Spell Hunters, and it has a really cool mechanic for like you're kind of playing soccer with some endless spells. But what I want to talk about more are two more things, and that is the ancient treasures and the spells.
That's a big part of this. This is very important.
Yeah, spells of the realms. And so, sorry, not ancient treasures, the artifacts of the realms. So I'll talk about the spells, and you can talk about the artifacts. So basically, what they do in the main core rulebook, you have the option to play on a realm of battle. And what that means is you can say, hey, let's play in the realm of death. And it gives you a set of rules. In those rules, they give you one spell, usually a command ability, and then a random table that you roll on to determine the effects for the whole game.
And sometimes one more thing is always there as well. Yeah.
There might be something else as well, but that generally all of them definitely have a spell. With the Malign Sorcery, they add 6 more spells to each of the realms. That's the basic thing. That's what they add. Because the artifacts, that's separate. You can actually have those in any realm. And so we played our game in the realm of fire. So you have Fireball, which was in the core rulebook, and then 6 more. Now I'm not going to tell you what all these are because we're talking. We've got 7 realms because remember we don't play in the realm of heaven yet. I have a funny feeling there's going to be some campaign supplement that'll finally invade it.
Yeah.
Because there's no rules for playing in the realm of Zir because it's just too happy. And let's just face it, Games Workshop is not. They're never content leaving a place happy.
Not gonna happen.
No, I know this isn't grim dark like 40K, but let's face it. Sigmar, you can only keep your gates closed for so long. And so the 7 realms, and they each have 6 spells. So do the math. That's 42 spells plus the 6 in the core rulebook. And so to go over them all would take forever. But let's talk about the ones that we used because I know them well right now. So spells of Akshi. You have Fireball, which is the one in the core rulebook, which basically you get to hurl a fireball and do mortal wounds.
Yeah.
The bigger the unit, the more mortal wounds. Here we have Stoke Rage, casting value 6. Friendly unit within 12 gets +1 wound and charge. Because remember, Realm of Fire is all about living fast and burning out. And so everything's going to be about speeding things up. So +1 charge, +1 wounds. Infernal Blades. This one was awesome.
It really was.
And remember, every wizard knows these. Every wizard. If you're playing the Realm of Fire, all your wizards on both sides know this. So if you think, oh, that's too overpowered, both sides get it. Infernal Blades is my favorite. Casting value 6, choose a friendly within 12. Add 1 to the damage characteristic of melee weapons used by that unit.
Like, that'll speed up the game.
Imagine a unit of 60 grots with 2 damage apiece.
Nah, you gotta hit first.
Yeah, but when they did, oh boy.
Yeah,
I know they still didn't hit very much. But when they did, oh boy. I was just disappointed I couldn't put it on my bows.
Right.
Oh, that was...
That'd been too much.
Oh, yeah, whatever. Fiery Blast, you pick a point. Every unit within 3 inches on a 4+ takes D3 mortal wounds. That was cool.
I'm not a big fan of those type of ones, but yeah, the other two are great.
We've got Glare of Volcatrix, which is that big beast that Grimnir fought and died but took down. Casting value 8, enemy unit within 9 inches. You roll a die. If you get higher than their wounds characteristic, then 1 model is slain. That would be pretty useless against a 1 wound squad, but imagine like Liberators or something that has 3 wounds. On a 4+, a 3 wound model is just dead. That's 3 mortal wounds that they can't ignore. So that's pretty cool. Parch, casting value 6. Enemy unit within 18 inches gets half their move.
I like that one a lot.
And if they charge on a 5+, they take D3 mortal wounds. So the mortal wounds is a nice little extra, but imagine half move. Not half charge, though.
Yeah.
But like move 4 goes to 2, 6 goes to 3. And incandescent form is interesting. It's a casting value of 6. It goes on the caster himself, gives them -1 to hit rolls. Which, all the wizards that I brought were like Grot Shamans, so none of them really cared to make themselves that much more protected. But imagine bringing your Slan, for example, all of a sudden being an extra -1 to hit. Or Grot Shaman on top of one of those big Arachnarok spiders in the spider fang. Like anything where you got a big, strong guy who's also a wizard, all of a sudden he's like, -1 to hit me.
You stack it with anything else, you're going to be immortal.
Yeah.
See, I think, I don't know if I think you might agree. I think this is going to be a bigger part of the game. I think every game I play, I'm going to roll a D8.
And just choose a realm.
And that's the realm I'm going to go play in. And these are the spells are major to know. Also, I'm going to buy more mages. I'm adding more mages to my army because I'm going to have them hit my games. Because before, what were mages? They were your Arcane Bolt /
Mystic
Mystic
Shield.
Shield
That's all you
battery.
saw.
That's it.
That was
The
it.
personal spells mostly were not that good.
You had some exceptions. Sylvaneth,
Yeah,
you could grow
for the
new woods,
most
you could
part.
heal, but you
That-
were
yeah,
always casting Mystic
Your
Shield.
new battle tomes, you have these lores, and they were okay, but nothing's like you'll see this discussion in our
Yesterday's videos.
what's that video called? Our pre-thoughts, not our pre-thoughts, first impressions video.
Yeah.
But I mean, getting 7 more per realm,
God, they're good.
let alone whatever lore you already have. They're spells to cast now. It's interesting. It feels more like fantasy again.
Yeah.
This is good.
And yet none of them are so ridiculous. Like
Right.
there's a round where I put the +1 wound on my grots, so I put the +1 damage on the grots. But and they were better, but I still had to cast, and I still had to not cast an endless spell to cast that. And there's wizards on both sides ready to unbind. With unbinding being 30 inches now, it makes it feel a lot better.
I just also want more mages in my army because my opponent might do this too. I
Yeah.
want to stop him from stacking.
I feel you
Infernal
almost want
Blades
2 or
and
3
stuff.
mages in every
Yes.
army.
Yes, I got to order some Sting Star Priest today, actually.
Mm-hmm.
I have to do that. But yeah, so are you going to use this in every one of yours? You think this is a part of the game for you?
The Malign Sorcery aspect of the Realm of Battle, I think so. Endless spells will always be an option. There's no way that I would tell my opponent, no, you can't buy an endless spell. It's just part of your army. You pay points for it, so why not? The Malign Sorcery, I'd say, like, unless we're both wizardless. If we both don't bring
Right.
wizards,
Well,
it's like, well, then who cares?
Everybody can bring wizards now, right?
Yeah, but if we didn't. If we both look at each
Ooh.
other's army and like, oh, neither of us brought wizards.
Blades of Corn. Do they have any allies they can take that are wizards?
Well, they can take some of they can't take Tzeentch allies, but they can take some allies with wizards. There's always the Chaos Sorcerer.
That's true.
Right? So you've always got access if you want to. But yeah, no, I think wizards are going to be a bigger thing.
Yeah.
Will I always play with this? I can't say for sure because I like huge variety. So if I find myself being a little repetitive playing in these realms, then I might do something different. But it's hard to say. It's hard to say. But so those are the spells. I just went over one realm and what their spells are, and I just went off like that. So I'm just trying to get you the general feel of what's going on here. You can imagine if you just kind of sit back for a second and be like, what would the realm of life ones be? It would probably be a lot of healing stuff. What would the realm of death be? Well, probably more damage dealing stuff. Because right here, there was only one that did damage, one that could slay, and then one that potentially did damage, but that's not what it was about. So only 2 of them.
Combat ones.
Yeah, and then it was more about combat and...
Pretty balanced. Pretty well rounded, actually.
Yeah, so you'll see all sorts of different stuff for each of the realms. So I really suggest that you look through it to see all the cool stuff. It's very overwhelming to try to look through it all. So just pick a realm, play in that realm, and learn the spells for it.
We also had that fireball too. You're getting 2 damage ones.
That's true.
You're getting 7 here, not just 6.
I guess it's a realm with fire, so it makes sense for them to have some fiery damage.
Football.
So that's the spells. Remember that spells only come into effect if you're playing on a realm of battle, whereas what Steve's about to talk about comes into effect any time that you want.
Tons of artifacts. Okay, so this is especially good for armies that don't have a faction inside General's Handbook or a battle tome. For every realm, you have 12 new artifacts, 6 weapons, 6. What do they call the other ones?
Just relics.
Relics?
It's actually, yes, weapons and relics.
Various things, relics, whatever. But you don't have to be in a realm to use it. I can say my army is from the realm of Gyron. Which Gyron?
Life.
That's life? Okay. I can say...
It's okay.
know.
I know, they're all weird names.
Yeah, I can say my army's from realm of Gyron and bring these relics. 1 or more if I have my
War Scroll
battalions.
battalions, yeah.
So yeah, I use these. You can find the relic that works for your army. I love that. We have literally, what's 12 times 7?
84?
84 relics. I'm taking his word on that. That you don't. Yeah, you don't. You just bring. You don't have to play in Gyron. You don't have to play in.
Hold on. It might be 12 times 8. Do they give the realm of heaven?
Ooh, I didn't even think.
Because as much as you can't fight in there.
I bet they don't.
No, they don't.
Yeah.
That's too bad. Because you can be from the realm of heaven, so it's too bad they don't have artifacts and
I
weapons.
don't know. You gone through all these? I have.
Oh, no. But what I have noticed is that power gamers are going to immediately cross a bunch of them off their list.
Oh, sure.
Because,
Sure.
for example, I remember seeing one that's like, you get -1 to hit this guy and something else. And the other one over here was just -1 to hit the guy. And so it's like, well, that relic's clearly better than that relic. So I guess I'm from this realm today.
Well, if you want, yeah. But if you want to say you're from Haish, and that one has the same thing, but a little worse, all for narrative. But yeah, right. Your power gamers are always going to find the best.
Yeah, they're going to be a lot crossed off there. Now, if you're going for more thematic, then obviously you'd pick your realm before you even look at the artifacts and relics. Because I remember one thing that Games Workshop was talking about in one of their Warhammer community posts where they're previewing this. They said now you can make really cool themed lists. Like for example, imagine a death army from the realm of life, and so you paint them mossy.
Yeah.
So like they're all the skeletons are actually all mossy.
Guaranteed you see some awesome things with
That's like all of a sudden it's like and then they said this is my favorite one, the realm of Cayman, the realm of metal. The death guys from that, their bones may have transmuted to bronze. A la Necrons. You could create a Necron army. Because it's a death army from the...
I can't wait to tell Luca.
Yeah.
But one thing to keep in mind, though, Matthew, is so this one may give you -1 to hit and something. This is only -1 to hit. You say your army's from this place because you also want this relic and a -1 hit. Like you can't have...
Right, you might want 2 relics, in which case...
You're choosing where you're from. You're not taking, I'm going to take the sword from the realm of fire, and I'm going to take a relic from the realm of peace.
Only
you're
one.
You're picking one realm, and you're grabbing your various realms.
And unlike 40k, it's not like you have one detachment from this realm, and another detachment from this other realm, and another detachment from this realm. It's your whole army's one realm.
Restrictions are better.
Yeah, so much better. I love 40k, guys. I love it. But the way that you build armies in Age of Sigmar is so much better.
Unwieldy.
Yeah, it's just so much better. And you can kind of look at these like 40k stuff, though, like chapter tactics and all of those, where you're like, my army is salamanders, or mine are ultramarines. Well, mine's from these different places. So even if you're playing in the realm of fire, you don't have to be from the realm of fire.
So
it doesn't. You don't have to think, well, that doesn't make sense if they aren't. It's like, well, of course it makes sense. People go between realms all the time, so you can easily narratively be playing in one realm and be from another one.
So when you get your book, and you find a sweet combination, that please put in the comments below. Over for Seraphin, Deepkin, you email that directly to me, steve@miniwargaming.com. Like this relic and this command tray, like what's this? Like just send me that stuff because
all we need is better powerless.
Like, just this subject will be for the next time you play against Matt. No.
Hey, we have good games. We have good, close games. That's all I can say. Is so far the 2 games that we've put up, the one yesterday and one today, I'm not going to say who won. All I'm going to say is both of them were close games. Yeah. And they were both, they're fantastic, so much fun. I love Age of Sigmar. I still haven't passed the honeymoon phase of it, so I can't tell you if I like it the most out of all the games. But I'm still on the point.
Do you, though?
Right now, I'm at the point where if I had to make a decision right now, Age of Sigmar is my favorite game ever.
Oh.
Ever.
Ever.
I've never had. Well, okay. Oh, we're diverging. Are we done? Can we diverge at this point? Yeah. It has the points. Okay.
Yeah.
Done. All right. So I'd say at this point, so consider this review 2.0 for Age of Sigmar 2.0. It's only gonna be for a minute or two though. I'd say at this point, when I look at a game, there's 3 categories that influence how much I like a game. There is the setting, so the lore. The setting and lore setting gives it a better impression than lore because not everything has lore. The setting could be like, for example, this is not a test. It's a game that we played. It's post-apocalyptic. I love the post-apocalyptic setting. There's not much lore for this is not a test, but the setting is really cool. That's why I liked it. There's the game itself, and there are the models. Now, if I were to order the importance of those things for me, the first would be the setting, the second would be the models, and the third would be the game.
Okay.
As long as the game is mediocre, it won't ruin the other 2 things for me. So this is not a test is a good example. The game is fine. I'm not going to say the game is fantastic. It's well designed. It's tight. It's good. But it is what it is. It's fine. The models are kind of all over the place because Joey, the guy who makes the game, he's got some models and those are fine. But you have to buy models from all over the place. So they're as good as you can source. So they're not. I wouldn't put them as fantastic because they're all over the place. And the setting, however, I love post-apocalyptic. So therefore, I love that game because the setting was great. The models are fine, and the game is fine. 40K, I didn't like the setting before. I've grown to like the setting, so I like the setting. The models have improved. They are much better than they used to be. I'm liking their aesthetic a lot more now. And the game I like. I enjoy the game. Is it the best designed game ever? Heck no, but I really enjoy the game. Age of Sigmar now, and I could go on for all these different games that I've played and tell you why I like them or don't like them. Like War Machine, setting's fine, but the game is really good, and the models are good enough. But I got drawn away from it because the setting didn't really draw me in. And that's not to say it's not a good setting, it's just I never got drawn into it. So Age of Sigmar hits a 10 out of 10 pretty much on all 3 of those. With the setting, 2 years ago you asked me this, I would have said it's garbage because there's nothing to it. Nobody knew what anything was.
Right.
So, but now I'm just like in love with it. I've read several novels.
Yeah.
I have poured through all the lore and all the different battle tomes. Like I am consuming lore at a rate that this guy consumes your flesh and bones. And I'm loving every bit of it. There's some books I like more than others, but I'm loving the lore in general. The models are just fantastic.
Yep. No denying that.
And I used to think that the newer models are better than the old models, which is the case. But as soon as we started rebasing the older models, I'm like, oh, geez, those look really good too. I'm like,
so painful.
yeah, I guess we can rebase those. What the? Those skeletons look awesome. I can't
now.
Yeah, those grots look great. I didn't realize grots were such cool models. Now they're on circular bases. So to me, all the new models, they're just, there's home runs, every single one. And the old ones, as soon as you rebase them, they're really good too. Not as good as all the new ones. And then the third part is the game. And this is, I can say, I think this game is fantastic. Test your mic.
Whoop.
Your mic's dead.
Oh.
I don't know.
What?
Uh-oh.
Wow.
Check your belt. Sorry, guys.
He's gonna be the whole time.
Well, you got my mic at least to pick you
Yeah.
up. Yeah, you're dead.
What?
Did you have battery power? Did you not turn it on this whole
No,
time?
it definitely was.
Oh, the battery's low, but it shouldn't have died. Apologize.
I hope I was audible. What if I...
Well, then you would have been for me. If the audio is bad over there, he'll just cut it out.
Okay.
And then you'll just have it through me. I apologize if the audio was muffled a bit for Steve. But anyways, continuing on. So the game for Age of Sigmar, for me, is fantastic. I'm loving every aspect of it. It doesn't have the bloat of army creation that other games have, namely 40K.
Right.
And
That's a big one.
the rules are tight. I'm finding that there's not a lot of ambiguities.
There's never debate.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of decentralizing the rules and sticking them in the War Scrolls, just because it's made it a little bit more of a learning curve for the game. But at the same time, you get used to it, so whatever. I'll give that a whatever. Fine, do that. I love the double turn. I love the what they're doing with magic. I'm loving everything that second edition has been coming out with. It's just giving me oodles of stuff to love.
My mic's going down. Okay.
Is it dead again?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
It's flashing.
Okay. Well then, that's fine. Just keep it on, and Rob will keep whatever audio is good. So that's my thought. It hits off. It hits all those three of those areas.
Mine's actually very, very simple. It's model structure game, and Matt covered pretty much all the important parts there.
The setting, you mean? The second one?
No, model structure.
What's the structure?
I want structure.
You mean like points values and,
Yes.
and
Well,
how armies are built?
How I literally don't want to do whatever I want. I want to be like, I wanted to bring this, but I can't because I can't have I can't have 5 behemoths.
Right.
I like having to pick what I can or can't bring. I love structure. It makes the game closer to balance, if you can think of it, you can call it balance. But
And I hope they don't come out with extra rules that let you break the rules. Like bring this leader, and all of a sudden you can have 6 behemoths.
please don't do that.
It's like
Don't do that.
just keep it the way it is.
Yep.
Because if your leader's a behemoth, it takes up one of your behemoth slots.
Yep.
And don't give us armies of all behemoths. I know that you can already have 4, so you can already get like your Beast Claw Raiders with 4 of them, but that's still not going to be the whole army.
We're gonna have armies of all behemoths and cannons
Yeah,
again.
they've already got lots of good things like to make things battle line, but I like the fact that behemoths and artillery still count those slots. Whether you bring them as allies, whether you bring them as battle line, whether you bring them as leaders, they still fill those
The
slots.
battle line thing, that things bounce in and out of battle line, I like.
Yeah, that was
That's
fun.
fine. That's fine. But again, yeah, I don't want an army of 12 mages and 6 behemoths and 7 cannons.
Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. We're going to finish there, especially because your mic is actually dead.
Yep.
And so by this point, you're only hearing him through my mic.
Sorry.
I apologize for that. I actually have no idea how long it's been happening, so I'm sure we'll have comments already telling us that it happened. And you're right. You're absolutely right. So you can reply to your comment saying, oh, I see that you caught it. Unfortunately, there's nothing we can do about it except just rely on him being picked up by my mic. But we'll make sure the batteries are restocked for our next videos. Thank you so much for watching. Now make sure you go and watch the next part of all this, part 2 of our Malign Sorceries, where I'll actually go through each of the spells, and also the 2 battle reports. I can speak for hours at least. I know Quirk and Luca had a lot of fun.
I heard them.
Yeah, and ours was epically awesome again, so definitely check it out. If you're not a Vault member, now's the time to try it out. Click the link to any of the Vault videos. It'll offer you a 7-day free trial, and it's a full access trial. It's not a limited trial, and you can instantly watch all of those. And over the next 7 days, we're going to be putting out lots of stuff for Age of Sigmar.
You will not regret it.
And then we hope that you'll stick around after the 7 days because it helps support everything that we do here. So yeah, that's it. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for more Age of Sigmar coverage, and happy wargaming.